Bueno, pues amigos, vamos a empezar y vamos a hablar aquí un poquito de ahora el equipo
Just a little bit.
de Juanito aquí,
Sí.
mi compañero, mi compatriota mexicano del alma.
Soy pocho.
Es un poco pocho, pero bueno, somos ya casi. Anyway, bueno, vamos a hablar un poquito de AC Milan. Nueva temporada.
Sí.
La temporada pasada calificaron a la Champions League, o ya regresaron a la Champions y regresan después de ¿cuánto tiempo?
Last Champions League que estaban era 13-14, so 2014, so que eran
7 años o 7 años después.
7 seasons,
7 años después regresan a la Champions League, obvio, después de esa temporada de la Serie A, donde estaban compitiendo en algún momento por el título. La temporada pasada estuvieron en primer lugar, de hecho. So now, new season, starting over, I guess. You know, you can kind of like a new season. Tuvieron unos refuerzos ahí interesantes. Giroud came.
Giroud,
vino Giroud, obvio.
Keeper.
Ajá, exactamente. Es lo que te iba a decir. Dejaron ir un portero, obvio.
Bueno.
Donnarumma, o sea. Es que fue obvio, firmó con el PSG y todo eso, ¿no? Entonces, esa creo que fue una baja importante de lo que es el AC Milan, porque es un portero, o sea, siempre
sí y no.
Tener un portero bueno, obvio, tu equipo te da esa seguridad a los defensas, ¿no? Ahorita,
Dale,
y ahorita me dices tú.
Ok.
Entonces, vamos a pasar un poquito por más o menos los cambios, ¿no? Los cambios de equipo.
Sí.
Viene Giroud, obvio cambio en la portería, pues cambio de portero. Regresa también, que es Bakayoko, ¿no? Que regresó.
Yep, he's back.
También una baja importante se le fue ¿cómo se llama? Que se fue a
Hakan.
Inter. Hakan.
Shanaloglu.
Hakan. Entonces, pues viendo en sí, obvio Ibra se queda, renovó. Viendo el equipo que tienen ahorita, una temporada nueva. También una temporada donde van a estar peleando por la Champions y donde ya también va a estar ese foco de Champions League. No peleando, pero va a estar jugando el Champions League. Obviously, quiere ser... You want to do the best in Champions League as well, right? Now, the Serie A, just Serie A, where do you see Milan, AC Milan, finishing this season?
So, last season we finished second, right? And last match day win against Atalanta, which was huge. But I mean, based on how what form they're on, you could only go up. Now the question is, what has happened with the rest of the teams? Based on what has happened to Inter lost an important piece in Conte and Lukaku and Hakimi. Although I don't think he's as important as those other two. But what's crazy is Inter, with a new coach, a couple new players, they've gotten off to a great start. If that wasn't the case, I would say Milan would be favorites if I had to put money on it. Why? Because to me, Juventus, as of this recording, Juventus has not gotten off to a great start. They lost Ronaldo, which will be huge. Juventus is in a stage, and I know I'm gonna ramble off, but you asked me where my money is, where Milan's gonna finish. Juventus is in a stage where they're trying to find an identity, and that was the case last season. So Cristiano, to me, was last season, specifically last season, because it's the year before they did win the title. Last season seemed like Juventus was trying to find an identity, a form, a playing style. You've probably been through it in the past with Liverpool, right? And and because of that, Cristiano was kind of the player that just got them by. Would come in as a sub, or get them that late draw or that late winner. That happened a few times, and I have a buddy in Juventus, and I've discussed this with him, but that was the case last season. And so far this season, they've started the same without Cristiano. As of today, they lost to Napoli today. And I think so far they got 1 point. They're like, bottom half of the table. I forget the exact position. But with that, but then you have teams like Roma, who's playing well. They got Mourinho. Lazio's playing well. Napoli's playing decent. You got Inter. I don't see them because of that. It's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough. I'm gonna go that they're gonna finish second again. I think Inter will still take it. I know. That's if I had my money on it. My heart tells
about AC Milan.
Yes. No. AC Milan. AC Milan will finish second because they haven't dropped in form. That's the main reason. Their focus has been mainly youth, right? And we've had this conversation plenty of times. I mean, they finally started getting it right when they started focusing more on youth. I feel like we're not a big money team. Milan's not a big money team, so they can't just... They can spend some money, right? And ever since their last Serie A title, they've kind of been spending money. When they have spent money, they spent it on the wrong type of players. They should have rejuvenated from the get-go, from the last time that they sold Zlatan when he went to PSG originally. The whole transition and rebuilding was wrong. Like, they would get players like Ibaka, who's already in his late 20s and not really proven. They would get like a Menez back in the day. So they were spending the money in the wrong way with players they thought, oh, this guy will get me back into Champions. It's like, no. So finally, a couple seasons ago, Gazidis, who is the current CEO for Milan, Arsenal executive, came in, and then they started spending, I would say, more economically, but in a smarter way, where now their focus became youth, keeping some players, right? They had Donnarumma, they had Hakan, who from a couple seasons before then. But if you look at the squad now, based on how Pioli has them playing, it doesn't really matter who steps in as a sub, because the style of play and the way, the form that they're in isn't going to get impacted by if Zlatan or Giroud plays, if Brahim Diaz or Hakan plays. That's the way, and I love it. I love it. I wish I could sit here and I think they will compete for the for the top of the table, but it's going to be hard because you have so much competition. I think Inter is still at the top of the game. But yeah, no, Milan hasn't dropped. I would be surprised if they don't finish top 4. But if I had my money on it, I'm going to go top in the second place. Second place below Inter. Because for some reason, Inter, with the addition of Hakan and the new coach, they have that confidence.
You see,
they still have very important players in like Barella, their defenders, so Bastone, other players that Inter has that are huge difference makers.
You see, I mean, I was obviously I looked at the Serie A and we did this prediction thing, and I think I told you my reasons, right? Like Inter, I personally don't see them repeating for that reason that they let go of like Conte left. That's the coach, and Lukaku, and obviously Hakimi. Obviously, 3 important players. Like you said, Lukaku and Conte are probably more 2 people, or it's like because one was the coach. So
based on
2 parts of the team,
and sorry to interrupt, but like based on the reason they were so important is based on the style of play, right? Conte's traditional Italian. They're gonna rely a lot on counter. So who else better in the world where you have this massive striker that's not only huge and strong, but he's also got speed, So in a way that like worked perfect for Inter last season, it just clicked. But
yeah, and that's why I say like with Lukaku, I think Lukaku kind of was a huge part of Inter winning the title. Like it was huge. Like it's Lukaku. Obviously, I think he's kind of the one that delivered in a way the title to Inter, and obviously with Conte, because Conte has proved in different leagues, so like in the Premier League too. He came into Chelsea. I think during the first season he won the Premier League, the first season that he got there. So
he's a great coach.
Like obviously his style of play may not be the most attractive or to everybody, but it works.
Right.
Obviously he's proved that it works. throwing Juventus off the perch in the Serie A. Obviously,
it had been a while. I think
exactly.
It had been like Juve had won like what, seven or yeah, something like that.
So it's like, that's for sure, showing something. So the fact that Conte left, Lukaku left, and they still Hakimi left, that's why I was like, I don't think they're going to repeat. They're probably going to keep on playing well, and probably, like you said, they're off to a great start. But yeah, I mean, now I'm doubting Juventus. I had put Juventus as the favorites because I was like, well, I mean, I don't see anybody. I told you, with Milan, AC Milan, I think they're good. They're in great form. But I personally don't like. I look at the squad, and I don't think they have the squad depth to win the title. Like, I don't think they have the squad quality or like title quality squad. Like, I think last season they were competing because they were not in like Champions League, or they were not like in other like tournaments.
They were on a roll. They were in great form coming from ever since they came back from COVID. They were playing. I mean, they hadn't lost in, I forget the amount of games, but they hadn't lost a game for a while.
Yeah. So, I mean, and I think, last season they were able to just concentrate on the Serie A.
Right.
And then, like, that helps, that helps any team. Like, when you're able to just concentrate on one tournament, then that definitely helps because you don't have the distraction of a Champions League or, bigger, the obviously the biggest football tournament is the Champions League. So you don't have that distraction. So I think that helps AC Milan. However, now they're in the Champions League. They're going to be in that. So they're back in it. Right. Entonces, es por eso que yo digo, bueno, si volteo a ver al Inter, por lo que te decían, perdieron a Lukaku, perdieron a Conte y a Hakimi, no creo que vuelvan a repetir por esas razones, porque obvio Lukaku y Conte fueron partes importantísimos de este título. Juve, pues ya lo estoy empezando. Yo pensé que Juve, dije, pues, ¿quién más? Empecé a buscar, bueno, vi a AC Milan, o sea, ves el equipo y dices, como que siento como que no tienen ese equipo, o sea, no siento como que no tienen el suficiente calidad, por así decirlo, ¿no? O sea, ya probada y todo eso, que es de esos, o sea, que ya son comprobados, o sea, jugadores que ya lo han mostrado. Obvio está Ibra, que obvio, he's obviously proved it. Que sí has proved to be a great player también.
He's a beast.
Entonces, Teo Hernández también ha estado jugando, o sea, fue una buena adición con
I can get into Teo, like, and then we'll discuss it in another video, pero he gets frustrating at times. He's probably one of the most talented left backs in the world, but he does things where it's like, I'll go into it real quick. Hold on. Sorry. Dude, it's because it's Milan, dog. It's Milan.
We'll go into Teo right now, but hold on. Let me finish my point really quick. So AC Milan, I looked at AC Milan. No creo que tengan el equipo suficiente para ganar la Serie A, porque obvio ya tienen la distracción acá de la Champions League. Entonces, si no creo que va a repetir el Inter, el AC tampoco. Entonces, por eso yo había puesto Juventus. Dije, pues Juventus va a regresar. Regresó ¿cómo se llama el entrenador? Allegri. Allegri regresó con la Juve. Obvio, ya entrenó a la Juve, ya quedó campeón con la Juve. Dije, sí se les fue Ronaldo, pero no creo que ya ahorita, pues parece que sí. Obvio, Ronaldo es una pieza importante de cualquier equipo que esté. Pero dije, Juve, pues ya había ganado la Serie sin Ronaldo. Ya tenían bastante tiempo, bastantes temporadas seguidas ganarla sin Ronaldo. Entonces, por eso no creí que el que se fuera Ronaldo iba a hacer mucho la diferencia, porque en sí su equipo se quedó intacto a pesar de Ronaldo que se fue, pero el equipo en sí se quedó de cierta manera intacto, a excepción de Ronaldo, ¿no? Entonces yo por eso dije, pues creo que Juve va a regresar. No creo que Lazio empezó bien, pero no creo que Lazio va consistente durante toda la temporada.
They might drop. Roma's questionable. We'll have to see.
Sí.
Pero
no creo tampoco. Diga Mourinho, obviously, great coach, pero no creo que durante toda la temporada tampoco tenga el equipo suficiente para, So, like, that's kind of why I'm like, okay, well, I think Juve is going to finish first, but then now, like, if you pull up the table, Juve is
they're 16th at this moment. They're 16th.
At this moment with 3 games.
Right. I don't know if Atalanta played yet.
Napoli's perfect. So
right, exactly.
I mean, you look at Napoli too, and it's like Napoli's a great team, so puede que Napoli quede, pero no creo que queden campeones. No creo que lo vayan a hacer durante toda la temporada.
So just to point this out on Juve to me is like in a stage, like I said, they're still trying to find an identity even from last season. So this season with the new coach Allegri, Allegri's not a bad coach. Obviously, he's won titles with Juve before. He's had some success. They're very dependent, in my opinion, on how they're gonna start rebuilding. Because, and also Dybala is an important piece. Now with Cristiano gone, it's gonna be dependent a lot on Dybala and Chiesa. Chiesa is a very talented young kid, but then Dybala's still there. Dybala last season, it felt like he had a dip in his game. Yeah. Whether it was because of injuries, whatever the case might be.
Ronaldo came in, I think Dybala has kind of dipped.
And my buddy made a good point. Who's a Juventus supporter is they probably, when they should have made tweaks with Cristiano, is like maybe they should have just played him as striker and let Dybala play, right behind the striker. Whereas they just kept playing Cristiano on winger, and maybe Cristiano's not a winger anymore. You know what I'm saying? He doesn't have the same speed as he used to. Still a great player, but I think Juventus has made the wrong choices. Unfortunately, last season Pirlo didn't work out. I love Pirlo, legendary Milan.
Legendary Italian.
Legendary he played Italian, exactly. All teams. Yeah, exactly. He played for Inter, Juve, and Milan. But back to Milan. I mean, I think the reason why a lot of people are a little jaded or don't know about it is because it's for the most part it's a young team, right? We've been out of Champions League for a few years. We haven't really built a star, and we're barely entering that stage to where now we've made Champions League, so now you're going to start hearing about some of these names, whether it's Theo, Kessie, Benacero, whoever it might be. But in regards to La Serie A, I would be surprised if they can't finish top 2. I'm going to go they'll finish 2 just to be on the safe side if I had my money on it. My heart tells me that they can compete for the first spot, but this season with Juve dropping, with Inter being with a new coach, Roma coming in with Mourinho, Napoli playing well, not Lazio playing well, it's going to be a little tough to predict. But I feel like Milan is still on the incline to where, sure, you don't have like a star name, but they have the youth, which is what they've been focusing on, and more the form. I've discussed it with you. Right now they're playing with a 4-2-3-1. They can, they have backups. Yes, they might be youth, but right now I'm glad that doesn't matter much. At some point it will, right? Because like you said, we're in Champions League. So at some point it's going to matter, and we can discuss Champions League in another video. But for us to take the next step, yes, now we're going to have to maybe, Gessie is going to need to step it up another notch, Theo, whatever it might be. But I'm going to go out on a limb and say, I guess it's not out on a limb because in a sense they're kind of favored to finish top 4, but I'm going to say they're going to finish second on the table this season. Yeah, which is what they finished in last season. I'm just happy we're back in Champions League and that we're at least in the discussion for the Serie A title. It's been years of frustration, Memo. It's been years of frustration. Honestly, yes. And in a way, I was going to mention this, like, it's kind of humbled me as a soccer fanatic, as a Milan fan, because before, when they were winning Champions Leagues, when they were competing for Serie A titles, I kind of had that sense of like, almost like an ignorant mentality where it's like, yeah, Milan, we're gonna win. But
yeah,
with these shitty years, I'll be honest, like it kind of humbled me. Like, fuck, like, damn, like what do we need to do to actually start competing for Champions League? Yeah.
We need to get back in the.
Yeah, so now I started, the last few seasons. Now I started realizing, oh, this is what they should have done. This is how they're playing now. This is what they're doing and fixing. Like before, it was more of I watched soccer, but it's kind of humbled me and it kind of made me a little more intelligent from a AC Milan perspective, and even other, like, following other teams. I mean, we've discussed before, off air or off the podcast, but the YouTube channel, I should say. But we've discussed this before. But like the thing that que empezó a pegar más is that German style of play where it's like it's kind of a counter to what Pep brought in, right? Because Pep brought in playing from the back, ball possession. So then you had these German teams, whether it was Glob, Tuchel now, or whatever you pronounce his name, but a counter to that, and which is why, you know, we'll get into the whole Pep conversation some other video, but Milan, I think, in a way benefited from that. That's not their ultimate game, but I've seen when they do play, they play a high press, they play well. And I think they started, you know, stealing the ideas from whatever German coaches it was, whatever it might have been. But I'm just glad, like I said, I'm glad that we're back in Champions League. We're, you know, I think we can finish at least second, but we'll see what happens, man.
Sí. Creo que van a terminar. O sea, que terminen los primeros 4, sí los veo terminar en top 4. Los primeros 4. ¿Qué posición? La verdad no sé. Uh-huh. Ya te dije, no creo que en campeones, pero igual, o sea, te pueden sorprender y puedes, es que, you know, they can kind of go on a roll like they did last season and they can just take away, you know, take that advantage, you know, go and have like those 9 or 7 to 10 point advantage sometimes that teams usually get like during the middle of the season that kind of just puts them on takes the pressure off, and then they are able to play, you know, more relaxed, and they should play better, because then there's those teams obviously when they have pressure, like it just, they choke. Man City, PSG. Yeah.
Well,
you know, but
since you bring that up, sorry, just to kind of add to that, but since you bring that up, like, and you alluded to earlier, Milan was on a roll last season. It looked like they were going to compete for the top title. And, you know, Inter was there. And then finally what happened, what I noticed is not that they completely fell off, because we weren't really expected to win the league title. We were just expected to improve from the previous season, to improve from the previous season, or at least make Champions League. But what I was going to say is, what happened is, I think they were in good form because they were playing that style. They were benefiting from a high press. So what started happening, and it's a combination of things, but what started happening is they started drawing certain matches or losing certain matches because teams started adapting to that. Teams started just falling back and letting Milan play ball possession. And then at the time, I think Zlatan went down because of COVID. Then he got injured. So we didn't really have a team that was used to playing great with ball possession. And in a sense, that's kind of what you were alluding to, like, and what I've kind of mentioned with Pep and his style. Like, you need to have teams that are able to play more than one style or adapt during a match if needed. And I think, just to get a little side topic, but I think that's why Pep, at this point in his career, he hasn't adapted. His style is just play from the back, ball possession. Like, I can't think of any other top club that literally has to play ball possession at all times in order to get goals, and that's the case with Pep. But anyway, Milan, Forza Milan, second place or first. We'll see what happens, but it'll be interesting. We'll get into another video and discuss Champions Leagues, because both Milan and Liverpool are in the same group, so that'll be a fun discussion.
Exactly, my friend. Yeah. Forza Milan. Bueno, pues ahí lo tienen, muchachos. Juanito, a fin de cuentas, dice que Milan va a terminar en segundo lugar.
A huevo.
O quizás en primero, nos puede sorprender. Ya escuchamos de él, escuchamos de mí. No creo que termine en primero, pero en segundo lugar no lo veo imposible. No lo veo quizás un poco más viable. O un tercer o cuarto. O hasta el último peleando for relegation. No, pero pues, bueno, ahí lo tienen. Segundo lugar, dice Juanito que va a terminar su AC Milan en esta Serie A. Su predicción de la tabla. Su... equipito maleta. Wow. No. Pero pues vamos a ver qué pasa con AC Milan esta temporada. Así es que, pues muchísimas gracias por mantenerse viendo todo este video y aguantarnos con todas estas
leave your comments,
ramblings and going back and forth between subjects and like changing right. Topics y todo eso. Así es que
as long as there's passion, dog.
Así es que pues así van a ser sus videos y pues muchísimas gracias por su sintonía y ya saben, dejen sus comentarios en qué lugar ustedes creen que quede AC Milan o qué lugar, cómo creen que va a terminar esta tabla de la Serie A al final de la temporada 2021-2022. Déjenos saber en los comentarios aquí en este video. Y también pues no se olviden de suscribirse a nuestro canal Estadio Vida. Así es que muchísimas gracias.
Muchas gracias.
Peace.
Peace.